Hello, my name is Mary Ruberry with Revelate, and it's March already, and we're continuing with this webinar series, this free webinar series. I hope you've been enjoying the videos so far. You may have watched them. If not, I encourage you to go back and check them all out. The first one was How to Manifest Earth, which focuses on our part of doing that. So it's not the mile high perspective, it's how each one of us are a participant in bringing in new Earth. The second webinar focuses on the mind, clearing, training, being vigilant, watching what's going on in there, clearing it out so that it can be a clear conduit for love energy. The third video was about emotions, and I also talked about the gut because that's kind of part of it. And then the fourth video focused on ego, which is always tricky. Well, so are emotions. So today I thought, when you're talking to people, you don't know who they are, you don't know where they're coming from, what their background is, it's good to talk in a way that we feel we're all coming from the same page, right? We're using terminology that we're all understanding. And so today I will be talking about what I call the basics, or it may also be termed ultimate truths. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about myself. I have a wellness company and I present seminars on wellness. I also do one-on-one mentoring. And of course, I do many talks and teaching on all of these important, interesting topics. I am a certified life coach. I guess that helps. And I also am a published author, and I write articles as well as I have published books. And so that I'm a communicator is basically how I look at it. And that's why I'm here, is to communicate, which is what I'm doing. I'm here making this webinar, hopefully talking with terms that you understand, terminology that is clear. So let's go back to some of the basics. There are two primary foundational basics when we talk about what are the basics. One is that each one of us is love. And I don't mean that in a fuzzy Valentine's Day, let's send out a card or give somebody roses kind of love. That's all great. But what I'm talking about is actually living as love, because love is our nature. Now we know that there are many things that get in the way of doing that, right? We know we're love. I'm love. You're love. Everybody around you is love, but they may not appear that way. They may not think about life that way, and they may not see themselves that way. They may think they're suffering. They're in a terrible situation. They hate their lives. They don't like the people they live with. They don't like what they do for a living. You've heard some of that, right? So that's why I talked in February about the mind, emotions, ego, because part of our complexity as humans is straightening those parts out, just figuring it out and figuring out how it works. So hopefully what I'll be presenting today will make it even clearer, even more helpful. And the second part of that is that no one is separate. Nothing is separate. And that's obviously counter to the society that we grew up in, the society that we live in, because we grew up in a time when it was about me getting ahead of others, beating out others, being smarter than others, richer than others, better looking than others, et cetera, right? Instead of saying, look at this other person, oh, they're doing so great, I'm so happy for them. It lifts us all up because we're all connected. We're all one family. And you may recall that Jesus referred to us as children of God. And I love that term because God, source, is what begat us. And we are all children. We are all one family. We have all been parents and aunts and uncles, sisters and brothers, etc., at one time through the eons of our lifetimes. And that will, people understanding that and comprehending and living that will make such a huge difference for society, for the world, overcoming separateness, so that we're all one. We truly are. And I think people throw that term around, but what does that mean to be all one? It means that we're not separate. And we can feel that way. So our feelings get involved, our emotions get involved, our mind hops on that, those negative feelings and thoughts, and someone hurt your feelings, you're feeling lonely, you feel like you're all alone, nobody's there to help you. And so you don't feel like you're connected. But the truth is that you are. And that's why it's important to use those basic strategies that help us to connect with ourselves, to connect within, because as Rumi said, you don't need to look anywhere. You have the entire universe within you. You have everything you would ever want within you. And we may not see that in our daily lives, but when we take a moment to sit and meditate and shut out the outside world, close your eyes, go within, that's where that connection occurs. That's where you feel that connection, which is why hermits who go off and live in caves for, 10, 20, 30, however many years, they say they feel very connected to everything. And that seems counterintuitive, but that's what they say. They feel connected because they're able to shut off all the distractions and to simply live from that place within, which is so rich, that place where all the wisdom, the knowing, the value, the love, all the good stuff is there inside of each of us. It's simply a matter of taking time to tap into that. And so, people, traditionally, when I tell people, oh, you need to take time and meditate, people give me sort of a blank look, or they might make an excuse. They'll say, well, I just don't have time. I don't have time to meditate. I'm too busy in the morning. Sorry, I'm distracted by birds outside. See, I'm being distracted. And so that's why meditation is so important. And if you can't take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes for yourself, what's more important? What's more important than you and giving to yourself, giving yourself this time? I raised my kids as a single mother, and believe me, I know what it's like to not have time and not have me in the conversation, that it's all about taking care of everybody else, taking care of all the details and the money and the food and everything else that we need for our structure in life. However, that is mistaken. We can intentionally carve out a few minutes. Usually the beginning of the day is the best time to do this because that gets your day off on a great start. So meditation is one of the basics. And remember, there's no way to do it wrong. A lot of people will say things like, well, I can't meditate. I can't get my mind to stop. It won't quiet. I can't do it. We can all do it. We all do it. It's part of us. It's our innate nature to meditate. And so don't feel like you're failing at it. Oh, I need to have an empty mind. I can't get it empty. Well, don't worry about that. If it helps, do a guided meditation, play some beautiful meditation music, light a candle, light a pretty lamp, whatever it is that helps you to get into a meditative state, then do that. But give this to yourself. If you can't make that time and carve that time for yourself in the morning, be sure you're doing that before you go to bed at night. Connecting back with yourself, connecting back with the higher truths, because otherwise we're just going to live in that world of illusion, that illusion that's carrying on and doing its thing all around us. So this is one of the basics. that you need, we all need to give ourselves. It's very important. Without that, how do you, it's irrational to imagine that we would be connecting well with ourselves. And how are we going to bring ourselves to the world, to our loved ones, to our community, if we don't bring the world up, if we don't get in touch with ourselves, right? If we don't see the world within us, if we don't connect into that inner world. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is to meditate each day. So then there are the ultimate truths, right? What are these ultimate truths? Well, here's a few of them, or hopefully a good amount of them. Hopefully a nice A to Z basic perspective. Source, the infinite energy begat us. So we are all made of that same energy. We are all made from source energy. The infinite energy runs through all things that are naturally made, i.e. not synthetic. So if it's plastic, which we'll talk about more later, then that is not made from source. Perhaps you might say, well, indirectly, people thought of it if people are source, but it's not a natural substance, plastic, etc. I'll only leave it at plastic, but you know what I'm talking about. This source energy connects all life, all beings, all of what is commonly termed creation. A lot of people don't believe in creation, which is fine, whatever you want to call it, however you want to describe it. The all of allness, everything you could imagine and everything you can't imagine, it all was created by source. And source energy runs through it all. That's why I know I've said this before, I'll say it again, that I love the Native American term, which is the spirit that runs through all things. And that is a really great description. This connectivity is typically treated with an amount of disrespect or disregard because most humans are oblivious to this ultimate truth. So they don't see that we're all made of the same energy, which is part of this overcoming separateness, being separate. Yet this connectivity is sacred. This is why killing another human is considered so wrong. The killer is killing a relative, part of the whole, part of oneself. It's the same when a person damages nature, dumps something damaging in nature, such as radioactive something, that's damaging oneself. You're not just damaging everything, but also yourself because you're part of it. Beauty can be beheld in all aspects of the natural world. Even killing for food and death are part of the natural cycles, the workings of life. Humans can look at some natural functions and find distaste, but that is only due to our perspectives and values and not to the ultimate truths that govern all. Much of what humans say and believe is due to their perspectives and to what is commonly accepted in society, those belief systems I've been talking about so much. Society does not often reflect ultimate truths. And you and I see that, right? We know that. We live in this world, especially in modern life, we know that these higher truths are often not reflected. They're there, they're true, they're the underlying foundation, but they're not accepted or played out consciously by society. So I talked in the first video in February, the first webinar, about how to manifest new earth. And I touched upon some of the qualities that we will see, or our descendants will see, manifested in this new age on the planet Earth. Certainly a society that practices kindness and compassion. Now, you might say, well, I know a lot of nice people and they're very kind. It's true. I see kindness every day from people. I know people who express kindness all the time. And so we should respect that and recognize that and appreciate that, because not everybody does that. Not everyone is showing compassion to others and patience, because patience is needed for compassion. You know, we're so in a rush all the time, trying to get everywhere, that we're not staying mindful of each moment. Because remember, this is another ultimate truth. There is nothing besides this moment. This is it right now. So in New Earth, also it will be a time of equitability. So there won't be the haves and the have-nots, those who are powerful, those who have no power and are stomped on by the powerful people, right? That is falling by the by. That is not, you can even see it now. Okay, it's still playing out, but by and large, it's not acceptable. Society doesn't like that. Society says, no, 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 we don't want that. Also our recognition and our relationship with nature, because life depends on nature. We are nature. And it is healthy to stay connected and to stay in that place of oneself as a natural being. So I am nature right here. But people say, oh, guess what? This weekend, I'm going to get out of the office, get out of my unnatural lights, and stop looking at my computer screen and checking my emails. And I'm going out and I'm going to be in nature. I'm going to connect with nature. Well, that's great. I encourage people all the time. And I'm always reminding people, definitely go out, walk in the woods, walk by a river, sit by a pond, watch the birds, sit out on your deck or your patio or your porch. Just listen to the birds, watch a squirrel playing or some other animals scurrying across your yard. That's all really great, because you can feel so calm when you are out in nature. But we don't want to forget that we're nature. I'm nature, this body's nature, it runs on nature. If I don't eat natural foods and I don't get water, I'm not going to survive. And also recognizing the interconnectedness of all. That is one of the basic and very ultimate truths, that everything is interconnected. You know, it's, if I steal something from someone and I think, aha, I got away with it, I am actually hurting myself. It's the same with truth and untruths or lies. If I am lying, and what I've seen with liars is liars tend to believe their own lies. They start to, oh yeah, that's the way it is because I said it so. But actually, the liar damages themselves. You're damaging yourself by not being of truth, by lying, by deceiving, by stealing, any of those lower activities that we might say, oh, it's a white lie. Oh, it's just a little, I only took a cookie, or I just, that store that won't miss that one item. But it's not the one item. It's the energy of stealing or lying that lowers our own energy, because we're all interconnected. Everything is interconnected. The planet, the sun, the moon, the trees, the dirt, the animals, all interconnected. Okay, this sounds really basic, this is called the basics. So, okay, what did you expect? It's the basics. Okay, so I'm just giving you some basics here. Also, the only thing that's permanent is your mind, or some people might describe it as consciousness. But when I say that, I mean that your body's going to die, your organs are going to die, your brain is going to die, It's all going to pass, but your mind, your consciousness continues from lifetime to lifetime. And that is one of the reasons it's so important to care for your mind. So when I lived in Los Angeles, people kept asking me, don't you ever go outside? What's wrong with you? You're so pale. You know, and honestly, even people I just met or hardly knew, they ask me the same question. And I thought, well, what's the right response to this? Because I go out, I swim every day outside, I go hiking every weekend, and I am outside, but I don't, I'm not tan. And this is in LA, this is a value that they value being tanned in Southern California. And so I came up with the right answer. I finally said, I don't have the right pigment. I don't have enough pigment. Sorry, I'm white. I'm a pale girl. What can I tell you? That's it. That's just the way it is, you know? And so I could be outside. It doesn't matter how long. I really tried when I was 14. I thought, I'm really going to get a tan this summer, but I just don't have the right pigment. And so when we value the externals, we're losing the internals. And that's why valuing your mind over being tanned is key, that it doesn't matter. Your skin is going to die or you're going to get cancer anyway. And it's going to pass into the soil, into the earth, into the air. It will die. But your mind continues. And that's why it's so important to take care of your mind and to feed it just as you would any other creature. What is healthy for your mind? To keep it healthy and strong and clear. And also to keep it as a conduit of love, right? It's not just about thinking and thoughts. It's about love, that your mind is clear and open to love, clear and open to that, what some term the clear light. And if you got a lot of junk in there, the light can't get through. So the physical body is also sacred because it's a conduit for the divine. It's a conduit for the sacred, the love energy. So as I said at the beginning, one of the very basics is that we are love, that love flows through us. Love is what makes us. This is what we are. We are love. And so if we don't care for our bodies, we eat junk, we do bad things, we do drugs, we drink too much, then you're not taking care of your physical body. And that is harming you, obviously, your longevity, but it's harming your sacred vehicle, this vehicle for the divine. So the physical is part of this. So the self has an infinite quality. The self is infinite because we are made of this infinite source energy. And therefore, I am infinite and everyone else is infinite. We are not limited. And this is something that is really hard to wrap our brains around because we live in this society in the West. I'm talking about the Western culture that's all about lack, or you need stuff. You know, what do you need? And I need to do this, and I need to buy this. And in order to be acceptable, I need to have this. And so that is all illusion. We don't need any of that stuff. It's just that we think we do, right? It's that belief system, again, rearing its ugly head again. But actually, the infinite quality of the self is an ultimate truth. And what kind of self are you going to bring with each lifetime as you keep returning to Earth or wherever you might be returning to? What are you bringing? What are you learning? How are you progressing? How are you feeling? Do you feel love? Do you feel a part of love? Do you feel that love flowing through you? So abundance is an issue, right? We actually live in infinite abundance, but our society sees this lack. And I mean, if we didn't believe in lack, I don't think TV commercials could work, because that's all about, okay, this is something you need. This is something that will help your life. This is something that will improve your life. And so all that selling is helping in a negative way to build those belief systems. You know, I need to have white teeth. I need to have fresh breath. I need to have thick hair. You know, I need to have soft skin. You know, all these qualities that are of the externals, external self, the external expression of self, as opposed to, I need to live as a loveful being. I need to live in compassion. I need to care for others, whether I know them or not. It doesn't matter, because we're all one. So, as I said, that I alluded to, that we keep coming back, right? We keep returning from one lifetime to another to another. In fact, we've had countless lifetimes. So I went to a meeting recently where people were kind of talking about reincarnation and, you know, being regressed, quote unquote, which I always think is funny. And they would talk about, I was regressed and I went to this past life, and isn't it amazing? I was in, you know, Spain, and I was dressed this way. It's so incredible. Wow, that's so amazing. And that's cool that you enjoy it. That's cool that you're looking at your past and finding benefit and finding it amusing or fun. However, this is an ultimate truth. This is how it works. You are being reincarnated. You have lived countless lifetimes. You don't know the person next to you. You don't know who they could have been in a past life. You know, we talk about all these famous people. Some of them have ascended. Since then, they've finished school and moved on, whether they became part of the governance of the planet or they chose to go to a different school and move on up. So that's what happens. In fact, Alice Bailey talks about the initiations that make up Earth. So you could think of them as the grades, or the grades that we need to pass in order to complete the curriculum of school. So many people aren't in that curriculum yet. They're still kind of figuring out Earth and figuring out being a human, and, you know, kind of flailing about and feeling their way. And then at some point, people say, you know, I think I have a soul. And that's where you find people who are very religious, because they want to learn, they want to get into that part of life, that they have a soul. There's more than just their body. There's more than just this daily life. There's more to life. And then the second initiation is, I am a soul. And so that's where the person recognizes that I am a divine being. The third initiation is where not only are you a divine being, but you are a conduit for the divine. And so you say, okay, this isn't me doing this. This is God or the divine working through me. This is not me. I'm not doing this. This is God. You know, all the praise and applause and compliments should go there, because I'm just a conduit. And also there are two parts to the third initiation. So one part is where nobody encourages you, you don't get any recognition, you have to follow your path and believe in yourself, and nobody's ever heard of you, nobody thinks anything of you, you know, you ain't getting no respect. And the other half of the third initiation is where you are famous, you are getting a lot of attention, and people are flocking to you and praising you, and it could go to your head. However, you fall back on, it's not about me, it's about God. God's working through me. The divine is expressing through me. It's not about me. I'm just, you know, doing my thing. After the third initiation, which is a big one, but they each one of them are, comes the fourth initiation, where each person says, proves their mastery over Earth, that they have completed all the lessons of Earth. Sometimes this is called the crucifixion, because that is one way to demonstrate your mastery, that you're complete. And the fifth initiation is ascending. And so someone was just asking me about this recently, because ascension doesn't just mean that it's your spirit, your consciousness, your etheric body ascending, but your physical body also ascends. And there are, in the East, this is sort of commonplace, there's some yogi hanging out on a corner for 50 years and all of a sudden, the guy ascends. But in the West, we have a lot of stories about this. And so we think Jesus, we look at the story of Jesus and we think, wow, he was really special. Of course he was. He's an ascended master. He came to fulfill the job of the Christ. However, the story that's in the Bible about the death and ascension is what people go through when they have completed the curriculum of Earth. And then you have the choice. Do you want to stay as part of Earth and become part of the governance? That's what an ascended master is. Or would you rather move on to another place, another school, and try something else out? Maybe you need some a new surrounding, a new landscape to conquer. And so that's another ultimate truth. That's how things work. So when you talk about reincarnation, I'm always amused when people say, well, do you think it's real? I'm one of those people who remembers past lives easily. There's no veil for me between the past and the present. And so someone can ask me a question. Well, do you remember when you first I was in a class and the teacher said, okay, so go back to the time when you first remember that you were being judged or something like that. Someone was judging you or putting you down, or wasn't accepting you, whatever. And I went back to the Inquisition. It was supposed to be when this lifetime, when you're 5, it's like, Mary, pay attention, you're doing the wrong thing. And I just jumped back to this other memory that was, pretty powerful. So in reincarnation, as I said, we have lived countless lifetimes, perhaps not all on this earth. So you came from someplace else. You decided to come to Earth for whatever reason. You may have gone off again to do some training or experience another school, and then came back to Earth. You may have been in the angel kingdom and then decided to switch over and become a human. Nothing's static. Nothing is written in stone. It's always moving. Life is always fluctuating. We're always growing. We're always improving and moving up the evolutionary spiral. So as we go from lifetime to lifetime, our physical body, as I said, the dense physical dies and traditionally would have been buried or burned. Sometimes they're left out on a hilltop or a field, or sometimes raised up on sticks, but that physical body disintegrates. However, we have another physical body, which we might call our light physical body, and that's the etheric body. Now, the reason I really wanted to spend a little time talking about this is because people so often talk about Kundalini or chakras or auras, and they're just tossing those terms around, but they don't mean anything specific. I'm going to balance my chakras, or something, and which is good to have, actually. But if you don't understand how they work and how the etheric functions, then it's really hard to do anything beneficial for your etheric body. So we're going to talk a little bit about what it is, how it functions, what it's not, and what is the proper care and feeding for your etheric body, because your you depend on your etheric body. So in other words, you have two physical bodies. You have to take care of them both. You have to feed them the right stuff, take care of them, give them what they need to be healthy and strong so that you can thrive in life. So people will talk about reading your aura. They're going to read your aura, right? Cool. What does my aura say? Oh gosh, it says something cool, right? It says I'm a nice person, doesn't it? What an aura is when the electricity of you hits the air around you and makes light. So it is interesting because you can tell if a person is feeling loveful thoughts, beautiful thoughts, if their energy is lovely and loving, or if they're hateful, if they're mean, if they think hateful thoughts, then their aura won't be light filled and a pretty color, or they might have dark spots in their aura because what they're putting out in the world is darkness as opposed to light. And so that's what an aura is. So we're each electricity. We're all electricity. And this web, this 3D web that connects everything, is that electricity running through that web, that energy, which is electric energy. And that electric energy that's within each one of us hits the air around us to make your aura. But what I want to emphasize here is that your aura is a result. It's not something you're going to do anything with or clean. I mean, you could technically clean your aura, but you really have to know how to use that energy in order to do it. And what's more important is to take care of you as opposed to the result of you, right? If you jump into a pond, you might be thinking more about the water rather than the ripples that it's making, because the water's so fabulous and it feels so good on your body. And it's so hot and it's nice and cool. Anyway, so back to your etheric. So it is not your aura. So your etheric body is a physical body that is in the shape of your denser physical, or at least it is while you're alive, okay? And within that body, on the front of your body, are chakras. And I have some props here. I hope you like them. So this, I know it's crude, sorry, is basically what a chakra looks like. So you could think of this as the front. And actually, when you look inside a chakra, it looks like layers and layers of scales, like from a fish. In the East, they depict it as petals. There's layers and layers of like a multicolored, a multi-petaled flower. But this front of your etheric, of your chakra, is what takes in energy, right? It's taking in either electrical energy or it's taking in magnetic energy, because that's how our physical bodies evolved. We evolved to take electrical energy from the sun and magnetic energy from the earth, and we mix that energy. So our feet have one-way chakras, and they move that magnetic energy from earth up into our root chakra, which is our bottom chakra. And then there it's mixed, it's combined with that electrical energy. So on the front of our bodies are a variety of chakras, like we have our third eye right here. Here's our heart, our throat chakra. I already showed the heart chakra, and they run down the body, the front of the body, and they gather electrical energy. And so the front of your body is collecting electrical energy, the bottom of your body, your feet and your legs, and the back of your root chakra are pulling in magnetic energy and then mixing in your root chakra. So your root chakra is the only chakra that has two sides. So the front gets electrical and the electric energy, and the back gets magnetic energy from earth. Now your hands are the only chakras in the middle of your hand that are two-way chakras. And these are wonderful tools because you can suck bad energy out, say if you're doing a healing, which I've done a lot, or you can conversely also put energy out from your hands. And that's what people who are doing Reiki and other forms of healing. In fact, if you hold your hands around someone or around yourself, you can feel the heat coming from those wonderful hand chakras that are wonderful tools. Back to the chakra, my prop here. I just love having a prop. So this is the front, right? And so the energy then is sucked in and goes through those layers to the back of the chakra. And on the back of the chakra, it sends that energy that it's pulled in through the nervous system. So it's basically pumped through the body using the nervous system. And that's why it's so important to relax, because that is your nervous system. You don't want to overdo your nervous system, overrun it, overstress it, get it feeling tired and worn out. You want your nervous system to be happy. Well, you want your whole body. You want all the parts to be happy, but this is why, okay? Now, people talk about the Kundalini, okay? And the Kundalini is running up your back. That is coming from your root chakra running straight up your back. And it's very powerful energy, but you don't need to mess with it or play with it or do anything to it because it's part of your nature. So just let it do what it does and enjoy it and be grateful. So your chakras are part of your physical body, and your etheric body travels with you from lifetime to lifetime. Now, you might say, but do I have the same etheric I did when I was a dog? No. So in each kingdom, so what I mean by kingdom, so the kingdom of plants, the kingdom of animal bugs, the kingdom of animals, the kingdom of humans, which are similar to the kingdom of angels. In other words, the angels and the humans have the same etheric structure. That's why you can go back and forth. But after you finish a kingdom, so as you evolve up from a stone, you develop a mastery as a stone. Let's say you become a ruby. That's a mastery. You're finished with the mineral kingdom, and you move on up to the plant kingdom, and you get a different etheric body for that kingdom. When you're finished with that kingdom, et cetera, et cetera. And so when you evolve from a dog or a horse or whatever you were last in the animal kingdom, then you got a new etheric body. However, while you have been in either the angelic or human kingdom, you have had the same etheric body. Oh, you're getting the point, right? That it's important to care for your etheric body. And one aspect of the etheric body that I think it's important to point out is that for survival, long ago, it was deemed, I guess, a good idea that we would store survival moments in our etheric bodies so that would go with us from lifetime to lifetime. And so when we were in a fight or flight moment, we would remember that and we could respond accordingly. The problem with that is that now we have all these fears and harmful memories that have been stored in our etheric bodies. So a lot of us over thousands of years, the way to get around was on boats. And of course, we've all drowned many times. And so that's why lots of people are afraid of water. They go, no, I can't swim. I can't go in that lake because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of water. It scares me. Or perhaps you have a fear of heights, a fear of certain animals, a fear of giving birth. because you have had in your past moments where you died or you were running for your life. You were trying to survive, and that memory got stored in your etheric body. And so it is valuable to clear that stuff out so it doesn't affect you anymore, because you want to be this clear and open conduit for love. So what does your etheric body need to stay healthy? Well, it's sort of similar to your physical body. So, fresh air, good food, etc. That helps your etheric body. But your etheric body needs the magnetic energy from the earth and the electric energy from the sun. So before the COVID pandemic, it was estimated that Americans spend more than 90% of our lives inside. That, in essence, is cutting ourselves off from those natural energies that our health depends upon. And so I just want to, I want to share, I have another prop. I'm so happy, I love props. So a lot of us wear shoes like this. These are my new sneakers. And you'll notice at the bottom of the shoe is plastic, okay? Now, it used to be that shoes were all made of leather and the soles were made of leather. And so the magnetic energy could move through that natural fiber. But now, most of us, at least in the West, are wearing shoes that have plastic on the bottom. So we're cutting off that healthy magnetic energy. And that's why it's so important to go out, walk barefoot on the ground as much as you can, sit on the ground as much as you can, sit on a rock if you can. And yes, sitting outside on a porch or a deck is great, but if it's raised above, you really want to sit on the earth. So think for a second, when you go to the beach and you're lying on the sand, getting all those negative ions from the ocean, and you feel so good. And at the end of the day, you just feel like you're Superman or Superwoman. That's because not only were you getting all those good vibes from the ocean, the air in the ocean, because wherever water changes form, it gives off energy, but also you were lying on the beach right on Mother Earth. Your chakras were connecting right to the earth. You were out in the sunshine. You were gathering up all this beautiful electric light. So you were getting magnetic energy and electric energy. And boy, does that feel great. So recently when I was overseas, there was a waitress who I got to know because I was going to this pub, this inn a lot for meals and such. And I noticed she always wore black. And I figured it was maybe part of her, what she had to wear for work, but she kept getting sick and she couldn't feel well and she couldn't get over it. She couldn't feel better. And it might've sounded weird, but I said, you really need to like put on a bikini or lie outside naked or something and just lie in the sun. It will make you feel so much better, because we need those colors. So if you look at the spectrum of the sun, if you ask any scientist who knows about these things, that the sun is not one color, right? It's broken into spectrums, and all those colors are beneficial for us. And when we block them out with black clothing that's right up against our skin, we're blocking out those beautiful colors and that healthy light that we need to stay healthy. So I'm giving you just the short view on the etheric. But the bottom line is that if you have irrational fears that you don't know where they came from, I don't know why I'm afraid of pineapples, or whatever it might be, because a lot of people have just like wonky fears, right? They're afraid of some random thing. Then you might want to try to clear it out. And the way I would do that would be with affirmations. The same goes for any vows, oaths or promises you've made in the past that you don't want to upkeep in this life. You know, if you were a nun or a priest and you vowed to be celibate forever, and you vowed to never have a partner or a spouse, but you actually in this life you want one, you might want to break those. You might want to consciously say, I release all vows, all promises, all oaths, because we don't want to be held by our past. We want to benefit from our past and the person and the masteries and lessons that we learned from the past. But the whole point is to be here in this moment, complete and whole and full of love and feeling the love. And so the whole point of discussing the basics is to give you what I call the basics, a foundation for pursuing a conscious spiritual life. Because I think if a person doesn't get the basics, then they might be kind of floundering around, not really trying to figure it out, but maybe it doesn't all make sense. Maybe it makes it harder to put it all back together. So I would just like to leave you with, again, emphasizing and encouraging you to pursue joy, wonder, happiness. Happiness equals love. And the next webinar will focus on love. And so you may be curious what I'm going to talk about regarding love, because to me, it's important to build the infrastructure of love. It's not just going to happen because we think it's nice. So it needs to be just as you would build any building, that you build love, you hold it, you feed it, you care for it, you make sure the wind doesn't blow it down, the sun doesn't melt your love, that it withstands, it's resilient. And we're going to talk about that in the next webinar. So again, my name is Mary Ruberry. If you'd like to find out more about my work, about the seminars, if you'd like to hire me to present seminars at your job or company, please get in touch through my website, maryruberry.com. I would love to hear from you. Likewise, if you have ideas, suggestions, or questions, let me know. In the meantime, peace and love. So glad that you could join this today. Take care now. Bye.